medicine, sometimes doctors can use parts from one person to help another. This must be done very carefully in order to avoid rejection and other medical complications. Now, the common medical procedures are organ donation and blood transfusion. Now, whilst blood is relatively easy to match a donor with a recipient, organ donation is far more complex. So what's actually the difference between the two? Well, part of the difference is something called HLA, or Human Leukocyte Antigens. And leukocytes are known as white blood cells, and antigens can be the toxins or foreign substances that enter the body. They can also be the kind of the protein markers on the outside of a cell. Now, these HLA genes are in a region on a chromosome where all the genes that function there are interrelated, all with each other, and they generally are inherited as a batch. It means that close relatives can often share the same HLA genes, despite there being a great number of permutations of these genes. Genes themselves are responsible for a large part of the human body's immune response to infection and disease, including coating the surface of the cell, allowing them to recognize and latch on to any antigens that actually invaded the human body. External marking also allows cells to identify other cells that belong to the body. A cell with the same HLA marking will be treated as belonging, and ones with a different HLA marking will be treated as an invader and may be attacked. This of course presents a problem if you're trying to transplant an organ like a liver or a kidney from one person to another. Unless the HLA genes match, all the cells that make up the transplanted organ can be attacked, rendering the transplant totally pointless. The chance that a random individual will match the HLA profile is extremely remote. However, because these genes are inherited as a batch, a close relative has the best chance of being a perfect match, with the chance decreasing with each degree of genetic separation for the relatives involved. This though does mean that even someone who's separated, say, by 5 generations is still far more likely to match than a random individual. So if 2 people share the same great-great-grandmother, mathematically it can be something like a 1 in 64 chance of a match. In reality, the match is much more complicated than that, for the mathematics involved. What this means is that people who are so distantly related they're actually unaware of it have a far greater chance of matching than just random people. The people who come from the same region, or even a country, or even just a whole general ethnic origin have a better chance of matching than random individuals. This also does mean that if there are a few registered donors from a particular ethnic group, the chances of someone who needs a transplant of finding a match will go down as a result. If a perfect match isn't available or possible, a transplant can be conducted using someone's organs that are a very close match. However, that increases both the chances of tissue rejection and also the number of drugs the person needs to take to stop that rejection from taking place. That's the organ donation. What about blood cells? Well, because of their role in respiration, they don't have all the full functions and apparatus of other cells. In particular, they have generally few of the antigen markers on the outside of the cell. The presence of the wrong antigens will actually result in a similar reaction to organ rejection. So these antigens do have an important role. The antigens that they normally have are called A and B. There's also a D antigen which relates to the rhesus factor, but I try and keep this as simple as possible. A person will have red blood cells of all of the same type, so cells could have both A and B antigens, or they could have just the A antigens or the B antigens, or they could have no antigens at all. These types of blood are then called AB, or A, or B, and finally O. Well, that really should be 0. This type O blood, or type 0 blood, because it doesn't have any antigens, can be used in any blood transfusion. Hence the tag of the universal donor is often used, and in emergencies where there's no time to find out what a patient's blood type is, that's the type to use. However, type O blood is also the only type that blood patients who have O blood can actually receive. The opposite is the case for the type AB blood. They can receive any type of blood, but their blood can only be given to another AB patient. People with type A blood can give blood to somebody with either type A blood or type AB blood, but again can only receive blood from someone with either type A or type O. Similarly with type B blood, it can be given to someone with type B or type AB, but they can only receive blood from type B or type O. So that's blood donation and organ donation. It's very important, but there are differences between the two in how it actually works.